Hey guys, it's Maymay, and today we're doing a little trash to treasure. So this is the centerpiece of my Scotty foam tape, which I call Scotty, right? It's actually Scotch foam tape. And if you'll remember, I wrote the birthday inside here, and this one has finished. And now we're on to our second one, which has its birthday written inside also. So that'll be another ornament. Maybe we'll get to do this one next Christmas. Wouldn't that be funny? I think that'd be funny. Okay, that'd be neat if it lasts a whole year. This one did. So I'm going to turn this into a shaker ornament, all right? And I'm going to use this paper pack to do it because I fell in love with this right here. I think that is so pretty. Now, it's not perfect. I'm going to have to cut it down a little bit, but look how pretty that's going to be in there. So what I want to tell you is if you don't have a Scotty hoop laying around or something like it, we also have these ornament hoops. Well, I call them ornament hoops. They're just embroidery hoops, but they're small and they're perfect to make this ornament with. Isn't that beautiful? So you can do either or. You probably have something laying around the house. You might even have a large mason jar lid. Who knows? And look, you get two in here. Now, I know you don't like when I chat before we start, but I want to show you something. You don't have to just use this image. If you get this paper pack and you have several circles, look, the wise men still seek him works. This Oh Holy Night works at the top. Isn't that beautiful? And I was flipping through and I saw another one. I'm going to turn this over. Look, if you have a big enough circle, Scotty's a little small, but look at the hoop. To have that at the bottom, wouldn't that be gorgeous? I just love it. So when you're looking through your paper packs, think about that and use what you got around the house. And again, if you don't have something around the house, you can always do like that, like I showed you with that hoop. And by the way, with these embroidery hoops, we don't have a whole lot in stock. These were left over from last year from our open house. Here's the thing about them. You actually can get two ornaments out of it because you could use this one for one ornament and then this one for another. Super cool. Okay, so let's get started on this guy. I am excited about it. I think this is going to be cool. I do not know what is going to happen, except I have my cutter upside down. I do not know how this is going to end up or what it's going to look like. I have in my head some ideas, but that doesn't mean it's going to turn out that way, right? You just never know with these things when you just get started. You never know where your thought process will lead you. But my first thought is I'm going to make it a shaker ornament. That's my first thought. We'll see how that goes. So I'm just going to get this guy away from the page, or from our cutter parts, as Vinny says. Look how pretty this is. I love it. All right, now I'm going to take my circle, and I'm going to use the camera to help me so I don't get my head in the camera. I'm not really concerned about this wooden piece right here. That's not really going to be a thing for me. I need to find out where I can put this to get the most from the image, and that looks really pretty because I want to put a little bit of shaker stuff down here in the bottom, and I want to be able to still see baby Jesus. And I could even bring it down to the wood and even get more. I may do that, bring that down like this. And what I want to do is I want to trace this right where I want it. So this looks good to me. And don't worry about it being off center. This is not a perfect circle. So I just want to pay attention to what's inside the ornament. And can I come over a little bit? That looks good to me. All right, we're going to trace the circle out. So here we go. Tracing, tracing. Easy enough. Now, you may find you have a die or something in your collection that'll work perfect. And I do plan to look at some dies in just a little bit. I have an idea for that too. But for now, I'm just going to cut this out with my scissors. You guys know I'm not afraid of my scissors. I use them. It's something about, you know, like when you were a kid. Grab your scissors out and go to town. Wouldn't this be a fun project to do with the kids? I think it would too. Super easy, super fun. And then they'd have an ornament to hang on the tree. Don't worry about the edge of this being perfect, because you remember my nail file trick I showed you? You can always just use the nail file to make it smooth. And see how it's not really perfect around the edge, but when I add Scotty, it quickly becomes perfect, doesn't it? Isn't that cute? Oh my goodness. I need to now address Scotty. I obviously don't want this inside my ornament, right? So what I want to do is measure the width of this little guy. And I'm feeling like he's about 3/4, and he is just exactly 3/4. So what I'm going to do is cut a couple of strips of 3/4 inch cardstock. Let's go back to our cardstock we're using. So these two pieces catch my eye from that cardstock pack. I do not want to do dark inside here because I don't want my image to darken up. See how bright it looks with the light color inside? I'm afraid if I put a dark color in, it would kind of shrink the image in, and I want to open it up. So I'm going to let this be the stripe that goes around the inside of the Scotty ring, and I'm going to let the green be the outside, which is unusual for me. But the navy that I really wanted to use on the outside is on the back of some cut-aparts, and I don't want to waste those. So I'm just going to do it like this. So we're going to do a 3/4 inch strip, and I'm going to be right on the 3/4 inch line. So if I need to trim it down, I can. It's better to trim down than to get it too small. So 2 strips. I don't know what length I'm going to need yet. This is the fun part about trash to treasure kind of projects. You just play. You don't really know what you need. There's not set measurements. You just kind of use whatever you got and make it happen. All right, so let's just see if I need anywhere near all of this. So let's make a circle, drop it inside, let it open up. That's really going to look good in there. I'm not going to need all of that, but I am seeing something that's important. Let me show you. Now, this is the perfect size. Look how good that looks. This is the perfect size. But I can kind of see some of the yellow from Scotty sticking out there. So I think we need to ink and get rid of some of that. So let's grab, I think I'll use this walnut stain because I've been using it a lot lately. And I don't mind if this gets stained. I may even let it stay stained, but I'm going to run around and kind of knock the yellow back. When this is done, you won't even know it's Scotty, except that we did this together. We'll know where it came from. So now you can see what I did was just go in there and kind of ink that up, leaving the center. It's fine. And I did a little bit around here as well. I wanted that to kind of knot back. I don't think I need to do as much, because let's put this piece here. That color's not quite so bright, and I don't think it'll stick through as much. I will want to do the edge of this paper, though. See that? I bet I want to do the edge of this one, too. Let's see. Because I don't want that little white edge showing. Yep, see that? See how it goes a little white? Let's ink the edges of this one as well. For this, I'm not doing traditional inking. I'm not wanting to darken the edges. Remember I said I wanted to keep it kind of bright? So all I'm doing is kind of running my sponge down the edge to knot back the white core of the paper. That's all I'm doing. I don't really want to distress this. Okay, let's do something fun. I'm ready to get something glued in. All right, so here's our circle, and I'm going to overlap it, and now is when I'm going to trim it down to size. So I'm going to let this kind of open up inside of here and see how much I need to trim away. Honestly, I don't know that I want to trim any away. I find, look how good that matches up if I leave it just like that. And let me see how much we're overlapping. I don't think I'm going to be wasting that much paper. Let's see. It's a few inches, but I just don't think it's going to matter that much. So you know what we're going to do? We are not going to trim. We're just going to use it like it is. Now notice I'm going to kind of curl this like a ribbon because I want this to be super easy. And you know my glue dries fast, so I don't want to have to fight it. Okay, so I'm going to put a little glue on the paper itself and get it started. So let's just put that in there and get that started down. And I'm going to take my time because this is going to line up so perfectly. I want it to be nice and smooth. Just going to let that paper sit in there like that. And what I can do is pull this and kind of pull it away from the edge and then add my glue here and there. I don't think I need it everywhere in the circle. I don't think I need it all the way around, but I want it to land really nice and neat. There's that. Let's pull this away from the edge again. And I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. I think you get the gist, though. I'm just adding glue, letting that relax into the glue. It's looking good, looking good. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing. Just pull this away. Keep adding glue. Love how that looks in there. Isn't that pretty? What a glow up this thing is getting, right? Okay, so now we can do the same thing on the outside. We can go ahead if we want to and glue this down. But you know what I think I might do? I think I might wait and go ahead and glue my image in, because if I need to do any nail filing to this guy to clean it up, I don't want it to mess up my green. So let's go ahead and glue this guy in. And here's what we'll do. This is going to be, do I want this to be the bottom? I'm going to let this be the bottom because I plan to put some shaker stuff in there. Oh, you know what else? Let's talk about the shaker element real quick. So this is a piece of the acetate that comes on the back of stamp sets, and I don't save this because the way I store my stamp sets, I just peel this away. Now, I mean, I don't use it. I save it to use for projects like this, but I don't use it. So what I'm going to do is trace this onto some acetate here so I can have this to be my shaker piece. So let me get a Sharpie. I'm going to have to use a Sharpie so it'll stay. All right, here we go with our Sharpie. I'm going to run around and trace, and I'm not too worried about the black getting on the circle because remember, we're still going to cover that with paper, so it's not a big deal. Lift that off, and now I can trim that circle out. And here's a tip. Trim just inside the Sharpie, because that way you get rid of the Sharpie, but you have just enough of your acetate to go around your circle. So just to the inside of your Sharpie line, you're just cutting it away. So let's do a test run. Make sure I'm going to be able to glue it down. I will. It looks like up there I'm off the edge a little bit. But once I glue that down, I can trim it, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of nip at it. That should be perfect. Look at that. Now, my acetate's not great. I need to clean it. It's just kind of dirty, but we'll do that in a few minutes. All right, let's glue this guy down. I think we're ready for that. So, again, this is going to be the bottom. So, I'm just going to run around and dot my glue. Now, I want this to be a shaker, so I don't want my glue to have any breaks. You know what I'm saying? I want everything to stay inside. So, make sure you do a nice, solid glue line. Don't want any holes. All right, and then I'm going to put this down. This is cool, y'all. This is going to be so pretty. Perfect. Look at that. It's almost perfect. I do need to come back with the nail file a tiny bit and just merge those together. Look at my old beat up nail file. Bless its heart. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just come in here, and where it doesn't meet, I'm just going to sand it down so that it will. That feels good now. Now what I want to do is ink it. Because see, when I did that, I made that white core show. So I'm just going to run around and ink. I don't mind if some of the ink hangs over the side here because I'm not really trying to keep the light. That'll be against the tree. So it's not a big deal. Here's a tip too. If you wanted to turn this into a tag, you could totally do that by just going ahead and putting a to and from back here on the back. And that would be super cute. And then they'd have an ornament and a tag. Look where we're at. Isn't that looking gorgeous? I love it. All right, let's do our outside circle. Now for the outside, it's going to be a little different. I want the overlap to be here at the top because that's where I'm going to put some embellishment to kind of hide my workings. So what I'm going to do is work this up until this gets to the top. We're kind of close. Yep, about like that. So that's how I want to glue it. Does that make sense? I want that line to be at the top because I'll put something up here to cover that up. So I need to glue this where I've got it. So let's start getting it. Let's just get it in place real quick. And I would suggest sitting it on your work surface and letting the paper kind of kiss the back there. All right, now we just glue this all the way around. Yeah, this is really pretty. You would never believe that this was a ring from a foam tape roll, would you? Okay, so I have a little bit of the inside of that paper showing in here, but it's not a big deal. Can you see it right there? I'm not going to stress about that, but if it does bother you, just do your nail file trick and just trim it down flat and then ink it again, but I'm not going to stress about that. Look how gorgeous. All right, let's go ahead and do our shaker part. So what I'm doing right here is I took a little bit of squeaky clean and sprayed on this acetate, and I'm just wiping it down. And it may not be perfect, but it won't matter. Trash to treasure, guys. We're just saving it from the trash can, right? That looks pretty good to me. All right, let me go see what I want to put inside here for the shaker element. So in my stash, I have these sequins that I've always kind of just hoarded, and they're 3 different colors. I've got rose gold, gold, and silver, and I'm going to mix them. So this is the cool part. This is where it gets super fun. I'm not using glitter. One of the reasons is I need something a little heavier because sometimes glitter can cause like a a static effect inside the ornament, and I may still get that with these, but I don't think it'll be too bad. You could use fake snow if you wanted to. That would work. And I have lots of space to fill up. As long as I don't cover baby Jesus, I don't want to do that. And this doesn't have to be a shaker ornament either. You know, this could just be an ornament. Add a little rose gold. That's pretty in there. All right, let me see if I think that's enough. I'm going to mix those up. So that feels good. What I do is I kind of put my finger here to kind of watch it to see where it's going to land. And that won't cover up baby Jesus at all. And that's what we wanted. So I'm going to let those settle like that. And now it's time to put our circle on. Okay, so back to our glue. So I got a glue ring around there. And I'm going to carefully place this down into that ring. And I have a lot of glue on there. It's more than I needed, but I don't want any of my glitter to fall out. And since I've been working on this, I've had an idea that I want to cover the rim anyway. So let me wipe some of that glue off. There we go. I'm going to let that sit. Now, let me tell you something. This will take a while to dry because I put a very thick layer of glue. You could do this with sticky tape if you wanted, but I didn't want to fight a circle of sticky tape. But I want to put something around the edge anyway. So let me go to my stash and see what I've got. So let me show you what I'm doing next. So I have dug into my stash and pulled out my circle dies. These are my nesting circle dies. And these are the two I'm going to work with, okay? I'm going to have to do a little bit of finagling, but it'll be all right. I'm going to take some purple tape. And I'm going to put this on my shirt and try to get it less sticky. Because even though it's purple tape and it's low tack, it's still pretty sticky for paper. So I like to kind of rub it off on things. Even on your work surface, if you've got a bunch of stuff on your work surface like I always do, pick it up, rub it a couple times because you don't want it to rip your paper. All right, now here's what we're going to do. I want to make a circle like this, an open hold center circle. And I want them to be fairly even. So I've got a piece of tape I'm going to lay on my work surface, and I'm just going to take this circle and just stick it down wherever. That one really doesn't matter. Now I'm going to lay it on my work surface so I can kind of have it even, just using my little squares there. And I'm going to take this guy and put it on top and try to center it, just eyeball center it. I'm not going to stress too much because honestly, it's really not going to matter that much. You'll see why at the end. All right, so there is my little circle set up. Let's run that through the die cut machine. So I'm going to take my little die set up and lay it onto my surface here. Just get that tucked in like so, so that'll lay there. And then I think I'm going to use this kind of navy and gray polka dot paper. So I'm going to lay that down on top of there. The tape will grab it, that'll be fine, and then run this through and cut that out. Now, a lot of you guys have been asking about this machine. This is my Memento freestyle machine. We have them on order, and we heard from the company yesterday, and we're about 2 weeks out from getting them. So at least we have a date now. So if you're one of the folks that are waiting, I know we have a waiting list going. So if you're one of the folks waiting, now you kind of know when. All right, let's see what we're working with now. So here's this circle, and it is not the perfect size on the edge, but it is in the middle. So what I think I want to do is glue this down, and then any that's hanging off the edge, I'm going to cut away and then ink it, and it'll be beautiful. So let's glue this little guy down and see how much we actually have hanging over. I just didn't have the perfect circles in my stash, but that particular set of nesting dies usually does a really good job of getting close because they're pretty close to each other. You might have some circle dies in your stash that kind of don't give you this kind of a skinny die circle, but those in particular really do a good job. All right, so I got to center this as best I can. Get that to try to cover up some of my yucky circle underneath. Get that laid down. I'm getting glue all over my acetate. Let's wipe that off. Okay, and then when I turn this over, do you see what's hanging over the edge? That's what I'm going to trim away with my scissors. So just taking my scissors and go around the edge and snip it away. Now look, it looks like we had the perfect shape to cover that up, and then we had to do a little bit of work to make it happen. Now I'm going to ink it because I have a little white edge showing again. So I'm just going to ink that there. Okay, now I think I want to do this. I'm going to see. So I have this little bit of navy and white baker's twine, and I think it might be pretty to run a ring around the edge to kind of finish it off. And this will be tedious work, but I think it'll be pretty. I also have this tiny little bit of brown left. I want to see if I want to use the blue or the brown. This would be just enough, but I don't know. Ooh, I think the brown looks really good. I'm going to use the brown. And this is going to be tedious, like I said, but I'm going to use a little glue and just run around. I'm going to start up here at the top because if I'm going to put an embellishment, I can hide it there at the top. So I'm going to run around with some glue, very little, and just lay my baker's twine into that glue and create a border all the way around. And this is one of those things where you're like, oh, this is going to take a little bit. It is, but this is an ornament you're going to have forever, so it's not a big deal. So I got that all glued around, and I actually think that is beautiful, the way that finished it off. Now what I'm going to do is take a little more of that twine, and notice how curly it is because it was the last little bit I had on my roll. I'm going to do this number and kind of loosen it up because I don't want it to be super tight for what we're fixing to use it for. Be careful doing that. Don't give yourself a rope burn. If you go too fast, you will. All right, I want to make a hook or a loop to hang the ornament with. Now, I don't like my ornaments to hang too far off of the tree, so I make kind of short hoops for that. I like them to hang kind of close, so that feels about right. And I'm just going to make a knot down here at the bottom. My fingers are so inky right now, but that's okay. That's fun. All right, so we'll just make a little knot down here. I'm trying to use up this brown twine because I really like it, and I got it. Might as well use this last little bit. So I'm going to snip that all away. Now, this is where you could use hot glue if you wanted to, but I'm just going to use my art glitter glue. And I'm going to find the center and glue my little knot down. And this is the center based on looking at the ornament underneath. So I'm going to glue my little knot in there. And this will take a second for this to catch, but once it does, we'll be in good shape. Now, while that dries, I want to make a bow to go on top. So I'm going to cut myself some ribbon here, and this is a wired gold. I love this ribbon. It's the Oh So Trendy. It's so good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a bunny ear bow. Now, there's lots of ways to make a bow, and I show you lots of different ways all the time, and I don't know why I choose one over the other, but today I feel like a bunny ear. And what that means is I've made 2 loops on either side. I'm going to cross them over and tuck one into the middle and then pull that around. Now, before you tighten, don't pull to make it tight. Go ahead and make some adjustments and make sure everything's kind of laying where you want it to lay before you tighten. Once you tighten, you have a much harder time of adjusting. So working my way to it. I don't want a huge bow. I just want a little something on top just to kind of dress it up and give it a little sparkle. And now I think I can tighten that pretty good. And these are going to go to the side because I'm going to actually glue this to the top where my knot is. So my bow tails are going to go to the sides. And I want to show you a trick for how I cut my bow tails. Do you see how this is running out to the side like that? I take my scissors and cut straight up to the end of that bow, to the end of that loop. And that's how I cut my tails, like that. You see it? You can even do it from this side. So I'm going to come here, come beside my loop and cut straight down. And you see how you end up with that little bow? Like that. This side might be a little bit long. I can trim it a little bit off. But that's how I do that to get my tails right. And now this guy will get glued to the top just like that. Oh, it's going to be so cute. All right, let's glue it down. And a perfect place to use your hot glue if you don't want to wait on your art glitter glue to dry. But I'm just going to put a little pile of art glitter glue in there, let this catch, and then we'll see the finished product. So there it is, guys. It's not completely dry, but that is my ornament. You see my little sparkle in there. I could have added more sparkle because, look, I had plenty of room, but I didn't want to have too much. But I love how this turned out. It's so fun to take something trash that would have gone into the trash can and then turn it into something like this. A keepsake forever. See how my glue's not dry yet? I'm going to lay that down. So there you go. Now imagine if you don't have Scotty, remember you could do this very same process with the hoop and get the same look. Okay, so there you go, guys. Thank you so much for being here today for this little trash to treasure. Now I have a question for you. What do you have in your stash that you could do this with? I know that mason jar lids are a big thing, but those are kind of scarce right now, so you might not want to use those. But tell me something else that's circular. Maybe if you took a jar lid and turned it upside down and just decorated inside, that would be cool too, right? So tell me in the comment below what you would use if you don't have a Scotty ring. And if you make this, and I hope that you do, I want you to show it to me. head to our customer gallery at maymaymadeit.com and share with us your projects. We love to see what you guys are making. And if you need inspiration, and I hear from you guys all the time, tell me, I bought this stamp set, how do I use it? Go check out our customer gallery. The link is in the description below. You'll be able to see over 2,000 projects that our customers and our viewers and our followers have all posted, and you will be amazed. Hey, thanks so much for being here today. And until next time, bye-bye.